tank. He's good at setting traps. Has crazy power that he believes in. He has a great chin too because he's a guy. He'll let you get out punches and he'll still be coming at you. And then once he catches you, it's a wrap.
Greats. Crawford's one of the best switch hitters, I think, since Marvin Hagler, and one of the most skillful boxers alive.
He has very good skills. He's one of my favorite boxers. He able to win this fight.
Errol Spence was left stunned after witnessing Terence Crawford's unreal training ahead of the Canelo fight. Having previously shared the ring with him, Spence praised Crawford's exceptional ring IQ and elite skill set, but what truly shocked him was the speed, precision, and masterful footwork on display in Crawford's recent training. Describing him as a monster in motion, Spence emphasized how sharp, explosive, and laser-focused Crawford looked, warning that this version of Bud is a dangerous force Canelo cannot afford to underestimate. When Terence Crawford looked back on his showdown with Errol Spence, the respect between the two champions was undeniable. Known for his calculated, cerebral approach, Crawford highlighted how he methodically breaks down opponents round by round before unleashing, punishing, pinpoint flurries to finish the job.
How hard did Spence hit?
He didn't hit that hard.
But he never caught you that clean. That was probably the best shot he landed.
No, he caught me a couple of times, but I was surprised at how hard he didn't hit.
Really?
Given that everybody say, "Oh, he's a big puncher," he's this. I think he's just a volume puncher. I think he just wears opponents down, just wear them down. I don't think he has a one punch knockout. He have power, but it's not like boom, sleep. I think it's like bam, oh, boom, 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 boom. Then he just wear you down.
Right. Yeah. That is a difference, right?
Because if you look at his career, you never seen him like knock nobody out with one punch. You never see him, dropping nobody with one punch. You always see him like wearing them down. That's why he goes so hard to the body, because he want to wear you down. Then once you get tired and once your body start weakening, everything started weakening. And those little punches that wasn't hurting start hurting.
World champion and boxing analyst Chris Algieri offered a sharp comparison between Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez, emphasizing Crawford's consistent dominance and control in nearly every fight. In contrast, Algieri pointed out that Canelo has had moments where he was clearly outclassed, what insiders call getting bossed, most notably in his loss to Dimitri Bivol, where Bivol's size, jab, and tactical discipline dictated the pace. Algieri's analysis supports the idea that Crawford, despite moving up in weight, brings a style built on control, adaptability, and technical mastery qualities that have historically troubled even elite fighters like Canelo.
Terence Crawford, who do you think can be the boss that night? When you talk about these two guys, you talk about two guys, number one, you can't boss me around. Two guys, you can't even look at me a certain way without me feeling some type of way. These guys now have set their sights on one another. Crawford and Canelo Alvarez. Obviously, we know the weight difference, but we've seen Crawford, looks like he's coming up slowly to that weight class and kind of acclimating himself in real time. How do you see that fight playing out?
We're still pretty far away from that fight, and I'm going to hold my complete analytics on that. But I'll tell you this.
Contrast and compare, maybe not a pick.
But I'll tell you this. I've seen Canelo pushed around. I've never seen Terence pushed around. So if we talk about who's going to be the boss, I've never seen anyone boss Terence Crawford. I've seen Canelo get bossed. So that just psychologically, when you think about that, and this is a fight where I flip-flop on both guys because there's so many good points. Yeah, but he's 168. Yeah, but it's Terence Crawford. He's undefeated. Well, yeah, no, this guy's beating this, but stylistic. Even he hits him on the arm. There's so many different things you can talk about. But from a psychological standpoint, who's fresher, who's meaner, who wants it more? That's going to come into play.
As a boxing fan, how much fun is it to see those two attitudes come together? It's kind of like the unstoppable force versus the immovable object getting ready to collide.
I've worked a lot of Canelo fights. The Canelo fight weeks are great. He plays to the crowd really well. His fans are awesome. I'm thinking about the Caleb Plant situation. I'm thinking about the Billy Joe Saunders situation. When he gets when he gets that in his head that he's got an extra chip, he becomes a really dangerous man.
Veteran commentator Max Kellerman offered a well-rounded analysis of the Crawford versus Canelo matchup, noting that while both fighters have distinct advantages, Crawford holds the edge based on recent performances and overall skill set. Praised Crawford's timing, switch hitting versatility, and surging knockout power, which have all peaked impressively in recent years. On the other hand, he acknowledged that Canelo, though still among the elite, has shown signs of slowing, particularly in his footwork and offensive aggression. Still, Canelo's size could play a major role in clinch situations and heavy exchanges. But when weighing the complete package, speed, precision, defense, and adaptability, Kellerman leaned toward Crawford as the more refined and currently sharper fighter.
But overall, I have to say Crawford. If you go down the list and ask me about tactical advantages, most of them are Crawford. What Canelo has is size, and as a result, physical strength and punching power. Canelo also has a great chin. But in terms of, if you want to go skill for skill, especially the recent version of Canelo, who's had to turn into a seek and destroy guy, who had to learn as his career went on to cut off the ring and not just follow guys around. Like Lara, Trout, Floyd, he followed those guys around. He had trouble because he's really a natural counterpuncher who wants you to come to him. But in recent years at super middleweight, he's gotten really good at cutting off the ring. Again, last fight notwithstanding. So as an overall suite of skills, recent vintage, it's been Crawford. But Canelo also is skilled and has a larger skeleton than Crawford. No matter what they weigh, Canelo's the bigger guy.
Yeah. You briefly mentioned Canelo's power, so who I would assume Canelo has.
You'd have to think, unless Crawford was on a knockout streak until he moved up to junior middleweight and then failed to stop Madrimov. So, and Canelo, though he has not stopped anyone in a while, we've seen he's a real puncher at 68.
As far as speed, who has a better speed?
You would imagine Crawford, given the fact that he is the naturally smaller.
The dynamics of this mega fight are truly compelling. Crawford is entering new territory by moving up in Weta, move that traditionally threatens a fighter's speed and endurance. Meanwhile, Canelo, though seasoned at this level, isn't the explosive powerhouse he once was. In recent bouts, he's shifted from relentless pressure to a more cautious, controlled style, and his knockout rate has dipped noticeably. This evolving version of Canelo helps balance the scales, making Crawford's challenge less about brute force and more about execution. If Crawford brings his sharp footwork, high fight IQ, and trademark stamina, there's a clear path to victory for him.
For Canelo, obviously at 168, he has been a bit of the smaller man at that weight class. And in the last couple of years has had trouble finishing opponents and getting guys out of there like he would have at 160 or 154. So you have a bit of a duality there. Both guys coming into this fight in the, let's say, twilight of their careers, or maybe twilight of their primes, however you want to look at it. Canelo is going to be, I think, 35. Terence is 38. So you have a similar situation, different paths, and different struggles for both fighters. But when you look at who has to do more in this fight, it's clearly Terence Crawford, as far as what he's giving up and sacrificing to win this third undisputed championship and to try to beat Canelo, who has only been beat twice in his career, one of which was Floyd Mayweather being slick and tagging Canelo with counter punches when Canelo missed. Being the smaller, lighter fighter and up there in age that was still able to take advantage of the youth and experience of Canelo Alvarez, but also just being a defensive maestro and able to counter off of that. Floyd is one of one. And then you have Dimitri Bivol, who was the bigger fighter. And the things that Canelo does very well didn't really hurt him too bad, right? The things that had carried Canelo up in division was his power and the ability to break an opponent down, maybe not stopping them in the early to mid.
Young and rising boxing talent, Abdullah Mason voiced strong confidence in Terence Crawford, not just predicting a win but one that could shock many fans. He pointed out that Crawford's power is often underrated and has the potential to surprise the world, while the mainstream narrative leans toward Canelo being the stronger fighter due to his size. Mason challenged that assumption, suggesting that Crawford's ability to generate power through timing, angles, and precision may actually prove more dangerous. If Crawford can land clean, accurate shots consistently, especially in the later rounds, Mason's bold prediction could very well come true.
I'll say Canelo Crawford, your prediction quickly.
Canelo Crawford. I got faith that Crawford can take it. I feel like Crawford, he might surprise some people with his strength. So it all depends on who's the better fighter that night.
Dmitry Bivol, the man who recently handed Canelo a rare defeat, offered strong praise for Terence Crawford. Having observed Crawford closely, Bivol noted how impressively he's bulked up and emphasized that Crawford possesses the skill set needed to win this fight. Bivol's opinion holds serious weight. He knows exactly what it takes to beat Canelo and sees that same potential in Crawford. Highlighting Crawford's discipline, speed, and ring intelligence, Bivol's endorsement adds real credibility. When a fighter of Bivol's caliber backs someone, it's a clear signal that this matchup is far more competitive than many might think.
In Dubai, maybe a month ago, I saw he's big, and he has very good skills. He's one of my favorite boxers. He able to win this fight, but there is a lot of but, and even not but. There is a lot of things, small things, which we don't know how he will deal with this. He need to get used to the power and pressure of 168 because it's different, big difference, to be honest. Maybe he will get used to it, and how he will be feeling himself the same day when he will fighting, how his training camp will go on, a lot of things. But he's able, he has good skills, he's awkward, he can use two boxing stance. It gives him benefits, of course.
I was at that same event in Dubai just before Christmas, and I saw him too, and I thought exactly the same thing, which is that he is quite big.
Yeah.
Size obviously is important. Jamal Charlo stepped up from super welterweight to super middleweight to box Canelo, and it didn't work at all for him. But Crawford is, I mean, he's one of the best fighters in the world, isn't he? I mean,